You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
And welcome back. Here's a look at some of the political headlines of the past week. Republican candidate for governor Don Huffines made a campaign stop in Lubbock last weekend as a part of a separate event over at the Civic Center. If you missed that, the former state senator is scheduled to be back in Lubbock later this week, set to speak at the True Texas Project meeting over at Southwest Aqua Sports on Thursday night. Go see him. A bomb from outgoing Amarillo State Senator Kel Seliger is part of a sworn statement in a federal court challenge of the state's new political district maps. The Texas Tribune reporting that Seliger stated in November that he believed Republicans violated the Voting Rights Act when they drew a new district in the Fort Worth area. Seliger chaired a past redistricting committee, decided not to run again after his own Panhandle district was changed. But Seliger told a reporter this past week that the statement was, quote, more of a concern than an assertion. And what lost a bit in all the news of the week was that the Biden administration decided to withdraw its COVID vaccine and testing mandate for large businesses. They really didn't have a choice, though, since the Supreme Court blocked the order earlier on in the month. All right, and let's spend 5 good minutes with our friend, Lubbock City Councilman Steve Massengale. Good to see you again, as always, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's do this first. You know, the last time we spoke here, and before that even, I thought almost for sure we'd be talking right now about you running for Lubbock's mayor, but you decided no, now's not the time. Tell me why.
I don't know if there's a simple answer to that. You take lots of things into consideration when you're making a decision like that. For me, timing was a lot of it. As a sitting city councilman, the charter kind of controls how one might announce for mayor, and there's several people got out last summer, and I'm not able to do anything if I wanted to retain my seat until mid-January, and so that affected it. As a small business owner, there's really never any great time to run for mayor, and I think that had a bearing on my decision. The time spent with this council had an impact on me. I struggled with being distracted with a campaign or trying to finish strong with a group that I've really enjoyed working with. Mm-hmm. And probably political instinct had a lot to do with it. I've been doing this since '06, and sometimes I've learned the hard way, and I think my instinct played a role in my decision.
Yeah, maybe down the road, though. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not saying no to anything. Yeah.
A lot of work still to do with this council before everything changes over here. There's some big ticket items still up in front of the council. We talked about it a little last week on the show, the Street Bond 2.0 that we're working on now. Is it just as simple as taking Broadway off the old deal and putting it back in front of the voters?
I think some people's perspective is that. I still contend we made a couple of critical mistakes, and I think we should have involved citizens' input into this process. I'd still like to see us appoint a citizens committee to take a look at it, and they might decide to take Broadway out, and they might make some other modifications to it, but I think time is of the essence, and I would be supportive of going ahead and getting some citizen involvement, some type of committee to take a look at it.
They would have to hurry, though. You know, Councilman Christian was on last week and thought we could still get this on the May ballot, and probably should. Are you optimistic that that could happen?
I don't think putting it on the May ballot is possible, but you could do some work and hand it to the next council, and they could consider it for November. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is a cost related with the delay. Yeah. And so the more we delay, the more it's just going to cost the taxpayers in Lubbock.
And let's talk again now about being able eventually to let folks in Lubbock choose their own power providers. Mm-hmm. Big deal for a lot. I mean, look, 100 years of LP&L. This is a big deal. We've talked about it for a long time. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on that, and where that is now, and just the process of making that change for people here in town?
You know, we started the process, Brian, with the council before our council to join ERCOT, and I think that was the right decision. And over the years, there's been a lot of input from citizens that people missed the choice they had when they could choose between LP&L and SPS, alley choice, I guess. But I think headed to retail choice is the right decision. There's a lot of our state that is already opted into retail choice, and it works very well. So I'm supportive of retail choice. I think we'll get there. I think it'll be the right thing for our ratepayers.
There's some on the council and in a work session that kind of brought all that out a little bit that said, look, citizens are busy with other things. Is this really a good idea to give them a job like that to do? Is that asking for trouble with some point? Is it, with some people? Because it's kind of a big decision, because they're so different in how they handle the power rates and money and how all that works.
It is a big decision as it relates to our utilities, but at the end of the day, our ratepayers make those decisions every day. They pick a cell phone plan, they pick a cable internet plan. It's not exactly that way, but it's very similar.
Yeah. Does this have to wait until 2023 when all of Lubbock makes the ERCOT switch?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we need to make sure we're all on the ERCOT system before we make the opt-in to retail competition.
Okay. Council's been talking about some more priorities here for this upcoming year. What's the things you'd like to see done here? Maybe we haven't talked about a whole lot.
Well, I think we need to make some final decisions on the ARPA funds. I think it's top of mind for a lot of people. I like where we're headed with it. You know, we've earmarked some buckets for different, areas of concern. I think finalizing that is important. I think that's those are one-time dollars that we need to have one-time impact with, and so I think that's something we need to get done.
You know, ARPA's. I feel like this is going to be a big deal for really the rest of the year. What are folks at home? What's their role in this? What can they still do? Can we still come to the city/county, depending, and say, hey, here's my problem? How does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, they can communicate with us, any of the council. I mean, county has their own pot of money. Communicate with your county commissioners. I mean, I think we want to hear the input on if someone has some creative ideas on where to put those dollars. There's some federal guidelines that go with that money, but I think we can deploy it in a way that has a positive impact. For example, is broadband, and you don't think about it, but there are portions of our community very close to where we are now that don't have great access, and broadband's really we take it almost for granted like any other utility today. And I think it's important, especially as we look at giving our schools an advantage on if we do have to ever go virtual or communicate, allow teachers to communicate with students. We've got to make sure those homes are connected. And that's an impact we can have with the ARPA funds.
And if you've lost money as a business owner because of all of this, get some paperwork together and come talk to you guys as well?
There's going to be some options. There's some options right now from the county, and I believe the city will have some options as well.
Steve Massagill, still city councilman. We like having him around. He explains things and even I can understand. Good to see you again, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Students and parents have spent better part of the past year and a half being told how their schools were changing, but should parents have had more of a say in that process? Well, you may have that say soon, and we'll talk about why next on Talking Point.